The arena lights were blazing, the crowd was roaring, and Ozzy Osbourne was mid-song when one small object stopped time itself. Before the story begins, please subscribe to our channel Voices of Darkness and smash the like button. If this story touches your heart, share it with your friends, because legends live on only when their stories are shared. Asterisk, Ozzy Osbourne froze on stage when a fan handed him his father's old guitar pick. Asterisk, the crowd at the O2 Arena that night was electric in a way only an Ozzy Osbourne concert could be. It wasn't just noise, it was history breathing, screaming, singing back at the man who had shaped generations of rock fans. Thousands of hands were raised, phones glowing like stars in the darkness, voices shouting lyrics that had survived decades. Addictions, scandals, comebacks, and near-death moments. Ozzy Osbourne stood center stage, older now, slower in movement, but still unmistakably Ozzy, the Prince of Darkness. His black coat flowed slightly as stage fans pushed air across the platform. The iconic round glasses reflected the crowd like shattered mirrors. Wrinkles lined his face, not signs of weakness, but proof of survival. Every line carried a memory. Birmingham streets, factory smoke, hunger, madness, fame, loss. The band behind him struck the opening chords of Mama, I'm Coming Home. The crowd erupted. Ozzy lifted the microphone with both hands. His voice, no longer as wild as in the early days, carried something heavier now. Pain, gratitude, truth. He sang. And then, something unexpected happened. Down near the front barrier, a young man no more than 25 was waving frantically, not screaming, not pushing, just holding something small between his fingers, stretching his arm upward as if it mattered more than anything else in the world. Security noticed him. Normally, that would have been the end of it. But Ozzy noticed too. Mid-verse, his eyes locked onto the object. It was tiny, barely visible, but Ozzy stopped singing. The band kept playing for 2 confused seconds, then faltered. The crowd went silent. Ozzy raised his hand. The music died. 20,000 people froze. Ozzy walked slowly to the edge of the stage, knees stiff, movements careful. He leaned forward, squinting behind his glasses. What is that?" he asked into the mic, his voice rough. The young man was shaking. Security helped him closer to the stage. Sir, I just please. You have to see this," the fan said, voice cracking. Ozzy knelt down. Someone handed the object up. It was an old guitar pick, worn, scratched, edges rounded from decades of use. Not flashy, not signed, not gold, just old. Ozzy took it between his fingers, and then he froze. The stadium waited. Ozzy's hands started to tremble. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. The cameras zoomed in. The giant screen showed his face, and suddenly, the Prince of Darkness didn't look dangerous or wild or mad. He looked like a little boy. Tears filled his eyes. The pick slipped from his fingers, but he caught it again, clutching it like it might disappear. "No," Ozzy whispered. "No bloody way." The crowd murmured. The band exchanged confused looks. Ozzy sank down onto the stage floor. Right there, cross-legged, 20,000 people watching a legend sit like a child who had just seen a ghost. "This," he said slowly, holding the pickup. "This belonged to my dad." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Ozzy swallowed hard. "My father, John Osbourne. He carried this everywhere." Silence. The fan below the stage was crying openly now. Ozzy motioned for him to speak. The young man wiped his face. "My grandfather worked with your father at the factory in Birmingham. When your dad passed, he gave this to my family. Said, one day, give it back to Ozzy." Ozzy stared at the pick again. Memories hit him like a flood. Birmingham, before the fame. Ozzy remembered cold mornings in Aston, the smell of metal and oil. His father coming home exhausted, hands cracked, face grey with factory dust. John Osbourne wasn't a rock star. He wasn't famous, but he believed in his son when nobody else did. Ozzy remembered being a troubled kid, dyslexic, bullied, lost, in trouble with the law, in and out of jobs. Music was the only thing that made sense. And his father, tired, worn down, barely surviving himself, still found time to sit with him. John didn't say much. He didn't know about chords or scales, but he listened. One night, Ozzy remembered, his father had handed him that pick. "Use this," John said. "I don't know music, but maybe this will help you find your way." Ozzy used it on borrowed guitars, cheap instruments, broken amps. That pick was with him when he sang in dingy pubs, when he was laughed off stages, when he nearly gave up. But then, life happened. Black Sabbath, chaos, drugs, fame, loss. Somewhere along the way, the pick disappeared, and Ozzy thought it was gone forever. Back on stage, the present Ozzy looked up at the crowd again, eyes red. "I haven't seen this in over 50 years, he said softly. The stadium was silent. "You don't understand. My dad passed before I made it big, before the money, before the world knew my name." His voice broke. He never saw the crowds, never saw the stages, never knew that his broken-down kid would stand here one day. Ozzy pressed the pick to his chest. "But tonight, he's here." The crowd exploded, but not in cheers. In emotion, people cried, hugged strangers, raised hands in respect. Ozzy stood slowly. He looked at the band. "Play it again," he said. From the top, the guitarist hesitated. With that pick." Ozzy nodded. "With my dad." The guitarist placed the pick between Ozzy's fingers. Ozzy walked back to the mic. The opening chords began again, this time slower, deeper. Every word Ozzy sang carried decades of pain and love. When he reached the line, "Mama, I'm coming home," his voice cracked, but he didn't stop. He finished the song. The final note echoed. Ozzy didn't bow, didn't wave. He just stood there, crying openly, holding that tiny guitar pick like it was the most valuable thing he'd ever owned. After the show, backstage, Ozzy sat alone. The noise of the crowd still echoed faintly. Sharon entered quietly. She saw the pick in his hand. She didn't speak. She just sat beside him and placed her hand over his. "He would have been proud," she said. Ozzy nodded. "He always was," he replied, "even when I wasn't." The fan was brought backstage later. Ozzy hugged him tightly. "Thank you," Ozzy said. "You didn't just give me a memory. You gave me my father back for one night." Why this moment matters: that night didn't go viral because of fireworks or screaming. It went viral because it showed something rare, a legend, reduced to a son, a rock god, remembering where he came from, a man who survived hell, still moved by love. If you love Ozzy Osbourne, if his music ever helped you survive a dark night, share this video right now. Subscribe to Voices of Darkness and help us reach our 1,000 subscribers goal. Like this video and share it with your friends. Now, prove your love, because legends never die, they live on through us.